After 2019 is a romantic drama released in April of that year by Avron Pictures and was actually a commercial success, making back its $14 million budget by grossing a whopping $69.7 million worldwide, to my utter shock, honestly. However, upon further assessment, I suppose I should not be that surprised given its origin. You see, After finds its inception as a fanfiction on a little website called Wattpad, a website that allows its users to publish and read self-generated stories in multiple genres. In 2013, user Anna Todd, not her original name on the website mind you, posted the first chapters of her fanfiction, then also referred to as After, and it told the story of about 3/5 of the British boy band One Direction, Harry Styles, Liam Payne, and Zayn Malik, as students attending Washington State University. The whole story is a simple innocent good girl meets bad boy and the plots that ensue from said overused trope. But if it works, I guess, and within the month, the story itself had 544 million readers. Soon after this, Simon & Schuster, seeking to publish, offered Todd the opportunity of a lifetime in turning her fanfiction into a 5-book series, changing small details of the book, like Harry Styles was renamed to Hardin Scott, etc., etc. The book series itself, from what I've researched, is much more drawn out than the movie I've watched, it seems. I wouldn't know for certain to what degree, however, as I've never actually read the original work, nor the republished and repackaged for main audiences work. So, from me, there will be no further commentary extended to the original piece of writing that inspired this heaping pile of manure. I've only seen fit to dive into the origins of our movie for very specific purposes, so that you can understand exactly where it is that this movie has come from. In the vein of 50 Shades of Grey, this is a movie adaptation of a book that was repurposed from fanfiction for the enjoyment of a wider audience. And it shows. Because I guess we're doing that now. Fanfictions are no longer just for the fan audiences they were originally intended for. We have to impose them on just about everyone and their mother, giving the general public a migraine from the hardcore brow-furring that will most definitely ensue. It should be noted that Paramount Pictures did acquire the rights originally to adapt After for film in 2014 after the rights to adapt 50 Shades had been acquired, but before the film could actually premiere. Production, however, would stall for a time, during which the rights were given back and then resold to the production company Avron. This was done because author Anna Todd herself wanted to have a greater hand in the production of the movie, so much so that today she is actually credited as a producer for said movie based on her fanfiction. It wouldn't be until about 2018 that the film as we know it would begin production. Tack on another year, and finally in April of 2019, we have our film. And it was a massive success and everyone loved it, and oh my god, it's the greatest love story since 5 ever, don't you know? That Hardin and Tessa are gonna make the cutest little fanfiction babies my eyes did ever see. Just kidding! Although the film did impress at the box office, the numbers doth deceive thine good senses, sirs. And that's what we're doing here today. Protecting thine eyes from the horrors it knows not to avoid. I do the Lord's work on this channel, and in doing so, I had to subject myself to this abomination not once, but twice, in fact, as upon first viewing I had mysteriously become so belligerently drunk my notes were unfortunately illegible and my righteous rantings lost to all time. I apologize. Allow me to explain to you in excruciating detail exactly how this thing did occur. And now, obligatory, this will be riddled with plot spoilers. Disclaimer here, which I shouldn't even have to say because this whole video is so that you do not go and see the video, but I digress. The Gospel of After, according to Weebo Jones. Our story begins with the age-old new girl goes to new school and wouldn't you know it, she's shy and innocent trope that all your favorite cinematic hits from Grease to Mean Girls have ensured will remain a staple of young adult fiction for until beyond the apocalypse ensues. Tessa is our main character, and she's going off to college, and her mother, who we don't really care about at all, is in a tizzy because her baby girl is going bye-bye for the first time in ever, leaving her just like her no-good, rotten slump of a father who will never make an appearance in this movie, but oh so desperately needs to for reasons that will become obvious as the story progresses. We also meet Noah, Tessa's high school-aged boyfriend who's sweet and cute and did dirty by the plot. Too bad neither Tessa nor the writers care anything about him, and so we must too leave Noah behind, much like Tessa's father, who left for cigarettes one day and never came home. We meet our other seemingly important characters, such as What's-Her-Face, whose chief purpose in our story is to act as a vehicle with which our protagonist will meet her love interest. And then we have another character somewhat worthy of mention but not worthy of development apparently, is Langland, who serves as another vehicle which pushes our love interests even further together. Finally, we meet said love interest, Mr. Hardin Scott himself in the flesh, just sitting there in our protagonist's room out of the blue for no other reason than the plot wills it. He's just sitting there all tatted up and chilling like he owns the place. No respect for a lady.
Can you please go out into the hall so I can get dressed?
Don't flatter yourself. I'm not looking.
Now do you see why having representative father figures in your life is important, ladies? I bet you do. This serves as our meet cute, ladies and gentlemen. Underwhelming, is it not? It is such a completely lazy and arbitrary way to shove two love interests together for the first time. I bet the building of chemistry between these two to make up for it will be stellar from here on out, right? Ha! Bet. And wouldn't you know it, our walking, talking, resident daddy issues beacon is a fan of classic literature. Ah yes, The Great Gatsby. I, myself, and a host of other recent college indoctrinates have taken AP English Literature and Composition too, Hardin.
Actually, it was all a lie.
Life goes on for Tessa, who is already smitten due to her crippling perception of what a decent male romantic partner might just be, and is stealing a few glances at our Harry Styles knockoff in a coffee shop before being whisked away abruptly to the obligatory young adult fiction party scene, where wouldn't you know it, Hardin just so happens to be sucking face with this sourpuss-looking women folk person. In classic young adult fiction fashion, the children have determined that playing truth or dare is the best use of their time on top of disappointing their parents, and it is soon revealed that Tessa is a virgin.
Are you a virgin? I'll do dare.
I did not honestly expect such a plot twist. Who could have predicted such an out-of-left-field factoid about our main character in all of the history of the world? This is such an unprecedented occurrence in young adult fiction. Certainly, we have broken new ground, ladies and gentlemen. So then someone dares Tessa to make out with Hardin, but she doesn't, not because she has a boyfriend, and not because she doesn't wanna, mainly because the writers just don't want to blow their load too early, and we still need to set up that, in actuality, Tessa wouldn't be in the wrong if she cheated on her boyfriend because he's just too controlling, honestly.
So, you're at a party. Have you been drinking?
I just had one drink.
Okay, so you go to college and now you drink. That's really great, Tessa.
Noah, can you not be so,
So, what? I'm not the one who's out partying right now.
Just forget it.
Tessa,
I mean, who does he think he is? Stepping into the toes of her absentee father like that, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. After that nightmare of a phone call, she stumbles into a room and begins the process of nosing around said room. And wouldn't you know it, it is Hardin's room that she has discovered. And wouldn't you double know it, he's not just a poser who read The Great Gatsby once for AP Literature and Composition. He owns books and shit and can quote Wuthering Heights.
He's more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same.
You basic bitches. That is truly all a modern 21st century woman needs in a man, isn't it? He's just a keeper. Hardin. Sweetheart. Hardin again makes a move, and wouldn't you know it, she still rejects him. Weird. Moving on, we get the pleasure of Hardin and Tessa interacting in an academic setting wherein they have a disagreement about my all-time favorite period romance story in order to attempt to support the contrived apex issue within the film.
Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth Bennet needs to chill.
Which is simply this. Hardin doesn't do love until he suddenly does, and then it's unfortunately too late. Womp womp. But we are still getting ahead of ourselves. I can't blow the load too early like the writers will. I'm saving that for the end, ladies and gents. Shortly after this incident, they happen to meet at the school's discount Starbucks, where the dialogue takes directly from the first Twilight movie.
I can't stay away from you.
What?
Tessa, let's just start over. Just reset and we can be...
What? Friends?
Well, why not?
before abruptly taking a very mysterious drive out into the middle of the woods, conveniently away from any and all curious ears, where Hardin's special spot is. And that special spot is actually where he kills unsuspecting freshmen and unceremoniously dumps their bodies never to be seen again. Mwahaha. Just kidding. Although that would have been a much more compelling plot twist than what is reality. They go swimming and have this deep conversation with such topics as love, her boyfriend, and silence. Not the literal kind, although there is definitely plenty of that. And then, of course, there's a bunch of obligatory staring at each other. Because you can't have a romance movie without a bunch of characters staring at each other longingly into their eyes and just, creepy. But this scene, it makes you wonder if this is truly how people think that romantic tension is built. Because, sure, it can be, but you have to adequately construct that. You can't just shove it into one swimming scene and call it a day. So they shove all of the romantic tension build up into one swimming scene, and bibbity boppity fuck you, we've blown right past the let's just be friends and start over conversation from about 20 minutes ago. The next thing you know, they are on what is absolutely a date and is probably the best example of chemistry in this movie by far, before they are so rudely interrupted by Hardin's other girlfriend from earlier, the one that was sucking his face at the party, who will only become relevant when we need her to during the third act conflict. And then, because the writers blew their load way too early with that swimming scene, we have to then backtrack a few steps and suffer through crippling emotional whiplash with Tessa as Hardin tells Tessa he doesn't date.
Look, it was fun, but I don't date.
Are you actually kidding me?
Which is extremely silly because of, one, what is going to be revealed about his motivations in the third act, and two, this little line of dialogue at about 35 minutes.
I thought that you just wanted to be friends.
I don't think we can ever be just friends.
But anyway, that happens and two things transpire because of it. One, Tessa considers the tired tradition of changing everything about herself to impress some boy. Pro tip, do not. Ladies, I'm talking to you. And two, we get another Twilight ripoff.
What are you dreaming about?
Yay! Next up, remember Noah? Yeah, Tessa didn't. Noah comes to visit her at school that night, and they go to one of those horrible college parties Noah was so scared of earlier, and in keeping with tradition, everyone decides to start playing one of those stupid party games, and it's called Suck and Blow. Sorry, I can't keep the 12-year-old at bay. Suck and Blow. Anyway, so the object of Suck and Blow is to basically just pass a card between a whole bunch of people in a line, and that has to do with sucking and blowing through the mouth. And if you drop it, you have to kiss the person. This culminates into us bearing witness to one lovely little side-by-side comparison of the beta, Noah, and the alpha, Hardin, each reacting to getting cucked in turn.
Dude, don't go there, all right?
Chill out, man. It's just a game.
Hey, Dan, you guys have to relax. Hey, relax. No. Whoa!
Remember, kids, this is what the writers are trying to pass as a plausible and healthy romance. Flash forward to Noah and Tessa spooning, when Tessa gets a call from the until now completely irrelevant Landon, who calls Tess only because she was mentioned once by Hardin during a rampage about his father getting remarried. Yep.
Whew, lad, that is a lot of some unresolved daddy issues you got there, man. Here, let me help you because I'm a pretty girl and I can save the day, and oh fuck, I just cut myself. Please take care of me, daddy.
They both have daddy issues, so they decide to have daddy issues together in bed, just after Hardin got finished going on a drunken rampage, and whilst Noah is still asleep in Tessa's bed, mind you. They do not do the sex, though. Let us preserve at least some of Tessa's good character at the very least, please and thank you. She is not that much of a hoe. So the next morning, Noah gets his heart broken, because obviously, duh, where did you expect this to go? Except we don't care. Because Tessa didn't care about him, because the writers don't care about him. Honestly, I was not for 1 second invested in their truncated Cougar Town romance, and I don't think Tessa ever really was either, let's be honest. Next up is the Rooftop Heart-to-Heart, where Tessa woefully reminisces about how much exactly Noah stepped right into her father's shoes after he left, making the scene make a little bit more sense, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. And that's where we get this stellar line of dialogue.
I hate myself for what I did to him.
Tessa, it's not your fault.
And finally, they're a couple. Cue the happy couple montage, which conveniently leads right up into our two little lovebirds popping the cherry and doing the diddly at long last. I'm just kidding. They don't do that. Tessa's mom walks in on them, ruining the happy, happy, joy, joy moment. Like, straight up.
What are you doing here?
What the hell is going on?
Anyway, shit gets shitty for like half a second.
If I leave now, you're cut off. He's gonna break your heart.
And before magically there is a solution offered up by Hardin, and it comes in the form of some light trespassing and hardcore squatting.
Whose place is this?
Friend of my father's. A professor.
Where are they?
She's in Italy. Oh, yeah. I'm meant to be watering the plants.
And our happy couple is suddenly living together after about 2 weeks of actually knowing each other. Wouldn't you know it, that's the perfect time for a little couples montage. Lovely. I'll just go and hit the loo for a little bit, take a quick stretch, loosen the old joints, be back in a jiff. So they go to Hardin's father's engagement party and have yet another heart-to-heart about deadbeat dads, followed by a dance montage, followed by the sex. Finally. Talk about wish fulfillment, though honestly, it makes sense if you're considering that this is a film based off of a book readapted from a Harry Styles fanfiction. Of course they were gonna have sex. That was always in the cards. And they lived happily ever after. The professor they're borrowing the house from never comes home from sabbatical, and they have 8 children and a pet goldfish there. Just kidding again. Tessa looks at Hardin's phone and discovers some troubling messages. The plot then falls into a heavy pit of conflict and mystery for all of about 5 seconds, when it's revealed that there was a bet all along to get into Tessa's pants, and Tessa's mother was right all along.
Looks like Hardin Scott just got his first rejection.
You lot don't think I can make it happen?
Make what happen, Hardin?
Here's a dare. Make her fall in love with me. And then I'll just turn it off.
And the real adventure here are the friends who backstabbed us along the way, or, well, in Hardin's case, I guess front-stabbed us, but who's counting? Although, I do guess it's karma for having cheated on your boyfriend/father figure, Tessa. I really don't know what you expected from this, honestly. Truly, I don't. After this harrowing reveal, which you absolutely would have seen coming if you were paying attention to some of the dialogue that Hardin was throwing down. After this, she goes to visit her mother, and of course, father figure Noah, who seems awfully forgiving for someone who was just utterly humiliated about, 45 minutes ago movie time. And then we get one final montage, but this time, it's a breakup montage. Yeah, boy. Finally, the professor from earlier, whose singular purpose within this movie is to instigate one of the inciting romantic scenes between our two lovebirds, and then subsequently Deus Ex Machina the fuck out of the breakup, swoops in to save the day.
This is what Hardin turned in. I think it was actually written more for you than it was for me.
Handing Tessa Hardin's semester-long throwback college essay to remedy all broken hearts ever, which is super, super lame and totally not feasible, but what the hell? Anything goes in fanfiction. Much prefer the bleacher scene from 10 Things I Hate About You, but that's just a personal preference. I love me some singing on the bleachers. That's just me. But we're left on a cliffhanger for a sequel, except, let's be honest, that's never gonna happen because this movie is absolute shit. And that's after. Any questions?